Everyone, my name is Namdi. I'm an RN and I've been an RN over a decade. In that time, I've seen geriatric patients and I've seen pediatric patients in different settings. I've also been in the position to work in med surge, in telemetry, CTICU, home care, nursing home, and I've worked as a staff RN and as a director of nursing. And today, what I wanted to focus on this video is to tell you how to interview as a nurse and be successful at it. Because there's a shortage of nurses. There's a need for nurses who have empathy for their patients, and it's also a very difficult job for and so that makes me and so that gives me the reason. And so the pandemic has put a lot of pressure on staffing, whether it's in a hospital or in a home health care setting. There's a huge need for nurses. And while you are out there, whether you're a student nurse or a nurse who's looking to change specialty, this video is going to be giving you the tools that you need to prepare for that interview when you get out there, so that you can ace that interview and you can work in this career that I know that you really like. Right in. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is, before you go in for the interview, take the time to research the facility and go to the facility's website and get informed about the facility you're going to work at. Now, one thing is being qualified for the role. The other thing is also being the right fit for you. Is that facility the right fit for you? Now, when you go to the facility's website and you research, it's really easy now to dig a little deeper, to read reviews, to see how many beds there are, what's their mission statements, things like that. It's beneficial for you to get acquainted with that information. One, so that you know if that's the type of facility that you want to work at, and two, so that when you're interviewing, the interviewer will get a sense of your interest in their facility, and it presents you with having it makes you seem like you are interested in working for the facility, and it also helps you, gives you some context when you're answering your question. The second thing that I suggest that you do is that you come prepared with your questions. Because when you come prepared with your questions, it sends the message again that you are interested, and it also gives the interviewer the opportunity to understand what your interests are. Because now, when the interviewer is asking you questions, it can get robotic and monotonous when it's just one direction and one person is asking the questions and you're responding. But if you already have pre-planned questions that you wrote down, um, it'll allow for a more free flowing of the conversation. The conversation will be more natural, more organic. Um, the interviewer will get an idea of what you're interested in. Again, there's don't feel the need to suppress your questions at this point. It's okay that you ask these questions before you even get into the facility, uh, so that you can decide if it's a good fit for you. The third thing that I suggest that you do is to bring something to write with. Obviously, if you're going to have questions, then you've written them down somewhere, whether it's on your phone, or physical pen and paper, whatever is your preference. But it's important that you have something to write with. During the course of the interview, there's going to be information that's going to be relayed to you, or that's going to be communicated to you by the interviewer, that's specific to that facility and to their operations. It's good that you're writing it down. It sends the message that you are invested in learning about the facility. I also want to caution that, because having been in that position where I've been on the job hunt before, and I have a few interviews lined up through the course of the week. They tend to it starts to look like a bunch of facilities. It starts to feel empty, and why even bother investing time learning about the facility if you don't even know if you're going to work there? That attitude is a sure way not to get that position, because you know the the interest starts from within. If that place is gonna be the right fit for you, you're gonna know it, and through your words and through your nonverbal communication, you're gonna send that message to the interviewer that you're the right fit for that place. And this also ties back to my original point. If you've done a little bit of research on the facility, you would know if that's the kind of facility that you want to work at. And so when while you're doing your research, questions are going to come up. During the interview process is the ideal time to bring up those questions. Number four, arrive on time. Ideally, 10 minutes early. You don't want to be there too early, and you definitely don't want to be there late. If you're there too early, it's probably the best time to walk around the facility, get a feel of the environment. Um, Also, to give yourself an opportunity to uh, maybe even meet people, talk to the security. What are their you can even start casual conversations with some of the staff there before you go in for your interview. Like if you don't want to do that, you can stay in your car or somewhere private, or you can use that opportunity to keep researching and practicing uh, your answers for the interview process. The fifth tip is allow for added time. If you're very early, walk around the facility, like I stated. Take the time to brush up on your interviewing skills. Take the opportunity to, if you didn't get a chance to research the facility, well, if you got there early, you might as well use that opportunity to do that, and then so that when you finally get into the interview, you're prepared. You're prepared and you're armed with a lot of questions. Number five, do not go to the interview wearing jeans. Now, this may also be like the it's more presentable to show up in business casual. You don't have to overdress. You just you it looks good if you come. It looks better if you come for the interview well dressed. Now, some people might also choose to appear in scrubs. I think scrubs are fine as well. It's the nursing outfit, so it's acceptable. So you're either there in scrubs, or you arrive looking in business casual, never in jeans or anything that may appear unprofessional. Now, that's just the traditional side of me. I know that things have evolved now, and a lot of times, if you're properly dressed and you're not half naked, it does, it can your outfit will be okay if you're not half naked and you appear well dressed. The sixth tip that I have for you guys today, I know it's quite a lot of them. During the interview process, try to be cordial and attempt to be friendly. A lot of these decisions are made not logically. If you've already made it to the interview, chances are you've met all the requirements in terms of your degree requirements, your experience requirements. You've already met all those requirements, so they're not looking to uh, under or they're not looking to figure that part out during the interview process. It's important to stay cordial. I try to establish a friendly relationship with the interviewer. That not only allows the conversation to be organic, it allows it reduces tension. It also gives you an opportunity to breathe. When you're in an interview that's tense, it's easy and to fumble your answers, and even though some of us, we're all human and we can understand mistakes, but you want to give yourself the best uh, opportunity. So bring the conversation down as much as you can to the friendly level. All right. The other tip that I have for you is it's important to think of some scenarios where you've been challenged in your career and how you handle them. There's a lot of these, it's starting to become in vogue for psychological questions and behavioral type of questions to be featured in interviews. I've seen them a lot. I've also asked those type of questions. I'm not a big fan of them because those are really just snapshot moments and doesn't necessarily transfer to different scenarios, but it gives the interviewer an idea how you problem solve. So I understand why they ask these questions. So you know, obviously benefits you to prepare. You know, think before you even show up to the interview, go over some of the scenarios, write them down, and figure out and provide the right answers, an ideal type of answer for that type of question, so that when they're presented, you're ready for them. Now, the other thing is that if you've been fired from your previous job, obviously it's not. There are several reasons why people get fired from a position. It might not be a right fit. It might just be that you had a bad interview day. It's not, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're just a terrible person or an inadequate for the job. Um, so the worst thing that you would do is to talk negatively about your previous position or the position uh, that fired you. Um, you don't want to do that. One, it sends the wrong message that you're a vindictive type of individual, or someone who speaks negatively, and that doesn't always bode well. So, in my experience, I think that it's better if you highlight the positives from your previous position. What have you learned from your experience at the other job? Instead of talking negatively about your employer, use that opportunity to highlight what you've learned from your experience. Now, the conventional advice there is never to bring up salary. I don't agree with that. After the questions have been concluded, if the interviewer does not bring up your compensation, you should do that. It's important that, because I mean, it's not charity. You're going to get paid. So it's important to that there is a clear understanding of what's the offer, and you also get an opportunity to negotiate that offer. Now, as an interviewer, having been in that position before, finally, 48 hours after your interview, it's okay to send a follow up email to thank the interviewer and express gratitude for giving you the opportunity. Um, that also shows it it goes a long way to show the interviewer what kind of person you are, and it closes that conversation. Now, if you don't hear from them after a while, maybe after a week or so, it's okay to call to follow up and see and get an update on your application. If you don't call, you can also drive over there and try to meet people in person. Uh, Now, ultimately, the number one tip that I have for you is to be yourself. When you are yourself, and what that means is that it requires you to be self-aware. You have to understand what your likes are, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and stand strong in that position. If the position is the right fit for you, you will get the job. If it's not, then you don't get the job. It's not the end of the world. You move on and you apply for the next one until you find the right fit. That's all I have for you today. I hope that this brought you value. If it did, feel free to like the video, share it, leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you liked. If you have any other suggestions, leave it there. I'll be reading it. And subscribe to the channel so that you can get more of this type of content. I will see you guys next time.